公開change! Okay, to be fair, having all this anniversary merchandise lying around gets confusing. Part 2 of what's basically become a 40-minute All-Stars movie at this point opens right where we left off last week with Dr. Chom in the middle of his evil monologue. Though as soon as he finished, he got a handful of Nozomi. And she wasn't the only one, as we get right into a fairly well-orchestrated fight with even the Kyakkya team being able to contribute, which is no easy feat. Likewise, on the other side of town, or the next city over, the geography of the Precure world is confusing. The remaining active Precure were dealing with this series' first ever Monster of the Week. They make quick work of it and join the rest of their friends in the fight against Trom. Just accept it, Rico. You're the Yamcha of this franchise. Anyway, they briefly get acquainted with each other, with Love and Nozomi even taking time to acknowledge that it's been a while since their last crossover. However, the pleasantries are cut short when Trom used his reverse time healing to fix himself up, without going too far this time. Luckily, his own creation knew exactly where he would keep most of his significant components, and the Hakuto team disable his time controls. This forced him to switch to his plan B, which was to turn into Venom. To be fair, I can take this guy more seriously than Tom Hardy's version. No, actually, this machine had the ability to turn Asu power into Toge power, which he took full advantage of, and even managed to snare Hana. But when newbies are in trouble, the OG will be there with their repurposed animation to save the day. And this time, they even had their 6th Ranger by their side. I think Rie Tanaka has forgotten how to play Hikari. She's kind of sounding a little bit more on the Nep side of things. But just as before, as soon as they exchanged pleasantries, Trom revived. Though this time, it looked like he had gotten overexposed to all of the Toge power and went nuclear. This ended up engulfing all of our heroines. All hope seemed lost, but they did have a little link to the outside world. Yeah, remember these things from the last episode? Because I barely do. As well as some friends cheering them on. You know, if this were an actual movie, this would be the big Miracle Light scene. Okay, that's 1 point in your favorite TV episode. So, even without their precious flashlights, the Precure managed to escape Trom's prison. He responded by, okay, seriously, is Trom supposed to be the final boss of this series? Though, thankfully, reinforcements arrived. Well, good thing AOT Season 3 ended just in time. Yeah, I know Annie didn't appear in the season, but I'm sticking with the joke. Also, Megumi, both the character and the voice actress, arrived with her team, and unfortunately, she's the last returning guest voice actor. Yeah, from here on out, the majority of the All-Stars are mute for no reason. Well, okay, there was a reason from a Meg context. The budget for these 2 episodes was probably on the scale of a small movie production. Still, it is weird not to hear hotheads like Hibiki or Yona not even letting out a breath. Also, I'm not sure why they couldn't get Kaneko Miyamoto to spout out at least a couple of lines, since she did sing this show's OP and everything, but oh well. I was actually more distracted by the fact that the Oshimaidas suddenly had the ability to turn into monsters from other series. Like the Desert Devil and the Hyper Combi Robo? How is that even possible without the Bad End Generals? What's worse, they didn't even finish it off with a Happy Robo. Come on guys, step it up! Alright, I will credit them for some clever cross-series team-ups. Stuff like an Ice team, a Musician team, a Comedy Yellow team, a Violent Pink team, and a Toshie Kawamura team. Wow, that's meta. And unsurprisingly, the 17 and up club was pretty badass, even though technically one of them wasn't 17, but shh! This led into a very impressive climactic Sakuga beatdown on the monster Trom. I think I can actually hear the hands of many animators falling off. But of course, what would a final boss be without a 3rd form?
We can expect at least 3 levels of transformations, with additional power multipliers every time!
Even though he's not supposed to be a final boss, but okay, how are they going to defeat him now? Well, with a new toy of course, that came out back in September. Better late than never, I guess. Well, okay, to be fair, it's not just these wristbands, but also the energy from all the Precure, as well as their respective supporting casts, including the International Precure, Best Boy, and... No! Okay, that I'll accept. Also, Kiriko was here.
Oh yeah, I'm also in the middle of the Smile Precure reviews, aren't I? Which means I'll have to get to your movie soon. Oh goody.
With that, they defeat Dr. Trom, who in his final moments as a Cryosu employee remembered Ruru's original creation, and they have a sweet moment, I guess.
Yeah, it's just too bad this is pretty much the only time we've seen you two interact.
Thus, this two-parter ends with the teams going their separate ways and a giant 15 appearing in the sky. Well, at least they didn't use it to defeat Dr. Trom. That would just be stupid.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, so much so that I can't even do my usual summary, so let's just break it down little by little.
Let's get this out of the way first. From a pure spectacle standpoint, this was unquestionably epic. While not every team managed to interact with each other, there was enough small-scale interactions that made these encounters feel special. And for as little sense as it made, that final battle with Trom and the transforming Oshimida army was incredible, with plenty of fun Easter eggs and smart groupings that made it even more engaging than it already was. If this had been stretched out a little, maybe had a few action scenes touched up, then this easily could have been a great All-Stars movie with all the Precure defeating some one-off movie villain.
Unfortunately, this didn't involve a one-off movie villain, now did it?
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room, or in Dr. Trom's case, the sacrificial lamb. They really rushed through this poor old guy's story arc. One minute he's an overconfident mad scientist, next minute he's a world-ending monster. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. And then he's a grieving father who wants to go back to the good old days, or future old days, when he had his cute robot daughter by his side. Seriously, other than that brief scene at the end of episode 27, there was no build-up to this scene. I for one think these two could have had a great story arc that played off their father-daughter relationship. It would have developed both their characters and given the old man actual reason to lose control of the Toki power. Like his frustration that Ruru wouldn't come back to their side finally boiled over after she destroyed his time machine, symbolizing Ruru's own desire not to go back to those early days. But nope, all we got was essentially a mad scientist who kind of missed his robot daughter at the very end.
Riveting.
And then there was that little detail that he suddenly became Black Hole from Deluxe 3. Yeah, last time I checked, we were seeing our heroines fight traffic cone monsters on this show. Seriously, if this had just been something that played in the cinemas featuring a brand new villain, then it wouldn't have been that much of a problem to separate this from Hakuto as a series. But since this very much is part of the TV canon and featured an established villain, then I have no idea how Georgie Boy is supposed to top this. May as well just liquidate your company at this point, dude.
That said, I do understand what they're doing from a marketing standpoint.
Hakuto Precure is currently Toei's second highest rated production after Gegege no Kitaro, and they're not making a lot of merchandise out of that property, though I'm definitely pre-ordering a Nekomusume statue. Still, that does mean that, on average, they're actually beating both of their tokusatsu cousins. Seriously, this show is averaging in the higher 3%, while Sentai and Kamen Rider are struggling to even reach 3%. Maybe if they push the Power Rangers as actual characters rather than told jokes, then maybe you could get some better numbers there, guys. So of course, Toei would want to create as much buzz as possible for the show, which, judging by the comments I've read, seems to have succeeded. I have little doubt that the upcoming movie will make bank at the box office. So call their actions overzealous if you want, but it's hard to argue Toei's dedication to this franchise. A friend of mine on Instagram actually showed me an article where they interviewed longtime Toei producer Takashi Washio. In it, he described Precure's success and how passionate they were to see this franchise carry on for at least another 20 or 30 years. And as is, that is seeming like a real possibility. So in the end, while these episodes weren't great Hakuto episodes and might have hurt the plot in the long run, when I see stuff like all of these homages and Kaoru-chan one last time long after his actor's passing, I really don't want to say these episodes are bad. So I will say that these episodes were great tributes to the franchise, but just not good episodes for Hakuto. Whatever happens from here on out, there's no doubt that these episodes and this series have left a powerful mark on the franchise.
The final part of the Smile Precure review should be up sometime later this week, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Which, in my life, only happens about 60% of the time. Nah, but seriously, I'll try to get it out by Wednesday or so. Look forward to it, and until then, though, farewell for now, my friends, and... I would so watch a DN solo series over Zio at this point.